Welcome to another in my series of videos on Realmworks. This video covers one of the most common questions asked about Realmworks. How do you get started with Realmworks? There are probably two common ways to get started if you're not going to wait for the content market to come along and just buy content. And I think the best way to look at them is a bottom-up approach and a top-down approach. The realm you're looking at here is my primary fantasy realm. And it is what you would call a top-down approach. I had the concept in my head for a while, and I built it out for several months before I started building adventures to run my players in. So it had a fair amount of content in it before I built the first adventure. There was the primary town, a lot of deities, a lot of backstory, a lot of material in it before there was ever an adventure. I had a lot of ideas, and the first adventure just pretty much, and many adventures since, have just kind of built themselves. And I have no real trouble coming up with more adventures. Now, let's say you don't have that kind of time, or you don't really have an idea. I had an idea and it kind of built itself. So what you could do is build the first adventure. For instance, the very first adventure for my campaign is this little one here, Trouble at Towerdale. The party has a meeting with a sponsor at a tavern, and he says, there's trouble, friends of mine are in trouble, and won't you please go help them? And so they then go out on the road, and they're attacked by a pack of wolves. Well, it's actually just two baby wolves. Just something to let them, learn how to fight. They should handle it no problem, but it helps them, it gives them something to learn how to fight with. They get to the little village, they explore it, gives them some role playing, lets them explore the little village they're going to be in. Then there's a scene at night, that first night in the village, where they're attacked by kobolds, which introduces them to the actual villains of the piece. They should be able to track the kobolds back to the kobold lair, which is the actual dungeon of the little adventure. Pretty straightforward. It gets them most of the way through, well, actually about halfway through first level, if I remember correctly. Simple, straightforward, but it starts building. If I was doing this from scratch and I didn't have time, something like this would be how I would begin building a realm. A simple adventure, it gives them the beginnings of a town and an adventure to get the party something to do. And then while you were building this, you could begin thinking about a second adventure, more of your town, other things to build out. And every time you do something like this, you flesh out more of your world. And as you build, the world becomes more interesting, more things get added, and as the realism builds and you link more things to each other, you'll begin to find that the world becomes more real, and more ideas start coming to you simply because the web of ideas start connecting to each other. And that's one of Realmworks' biggest advantages. As things connect, you begin to have a real world. The connections build up. For instance, in my world, inside of my primary town, people know each other, people connect to each other, just pick someone at random. This is one of the primary merchants. So she, she's the head of her family. She knows, people. She knows way more people than this, but these are people she has relationships with. She, other people know her. She's in this scene. She's the head of this society. She's, all this stuff. And, other people are, otherwise important or less important. And and when you look at you can look up if you're looking for ideas, you can look at the relationship web and the web of links, and you just browse your own realm, and ideas will come to you because of what you've built up in your own campaign world. And that, I think, is ultimately where RealmWorks will help build campaign worlds. As the world grows, it helps you build adventures because it helps you connect your realm to itself. All right. Well, hopefully that will give you some ideas and help you figure out what to do when you're starting out. If you have any questions or requests for future videos, let me know either in the comments here or over on the LWD forums. I am always looking for ideas for new videos. And thank you.